Across the river from downtown Cincinnati, in Covington, Kentucky's main Strauss, and from the beautiful village Sight, Sound, and Stage, it's Fret Buzz. Featuring Mike Reeder. William Gilmore Weber. And the lovely Janelle Stevens as the barista. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Mike Reeder.
Hello and welcome to Fret Buzz.
Hey, what's happening?
Glad to have all you guys with us. Got some new friends with me and some old friends that I've known forever. And I'm so happy to have all you guys here today. Me and William just got back from a long and wild and wacky trip.
It's a long and winding road.
6,000 miles on the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, wow.
Up and down.
Yes. Not sure what that means, but
yeah, all points in between.
yeah, it was a great adventure.
It was cool.
And I'm having a hard time today, Bill. It was a long night for me last night. We played last night, and
I didn't get to go, unfortunately. I really wish I could have been there, but
yeah,
other engagements took me away.
it was Aussie Aid last night for all the koalas and all the animals that were having issues, and a bunch of great bands played, and me and Bill played.
Yes.
Chalk Eye. It was a good time.
It was.
And Bill's here with us today because Aaron Thomas called in sick with the flu.
Oh.
Poor guy. So we wish him the best. We'll see him maybe next episode.
Hopefully.
Yeah. It's been going around, man. I tell you what.
It really has
Since
been.
all you're talking
yeah.
about it now, I think I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of fighting it off myself. So this is episode 10, the biohazard version. Yeah.
Perfect episode to have us.
Right,
Thanks,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate being here, dude.
Great.
So did you guys play last night?
We didn't play last night, but we were on the road for our day job gig, which we're on the road a lot for that too.
Yeah.
So,
You guys are always out shooting.
yeah, we are. Yeah. Video
Shooting music,
stuff.
playing music. That's
Yeah.
our goal in life. Yeah.
Doing a great thing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I've known Jeff for, when was the first time we met? Through Kern?
We it was 1998, probably August of '98. Worked for Mike's Music.
Yeah.
My first job in Cincinnati out of college.
Yeah.
I think that was my last job.
Yeah. First and last
First
job.
and last job, probably.
Yeah. Actually, that's the last time I worked for somebody. So, yeah, it was my last job.
That'll do it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, I'm never doing this again.
Obviously, those credentials took you far.
Yes. Yes.
No, he has an amazing company where he goes and sets up live and shoots bands. And
Yeah.
he did Whispering Beard, if you guys have seen any of those videos.
We do both stages at Bunbury every year, so
Wow.
we provide 10 cameras for that.
Yeah.
So when we're not playing music, like I say, we shoot music and we do a lot of recording as well, audio recording.
Yeah.
Do recording for schools in the area. We show up to their concerts, record it for them, and put it on Spotify and things like that, so that all the parents can access it.
And that company you call what?
That's Lifeboat Digital Media.
Did you come in here and look at this and go, pfft?
Yeah, you probably did.
I got some pointers for you guys after the show.
Seriously.
The show looks great. I love it. It looks
Thanks.
fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah, the episodes have been killer.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to do things on the fly like you do. Since we're
Yeah, get it done.
Working a lot in post, but
Yeah.
man, so glad you guys are here. And Crystal, have you been playing much?
I have not really been playing much because I've been recording primarily.
That's an excuse. Okay, all right. We'll take it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me, for a while there, I was doing a lot of gigs, but then wasn't really able to come back. I kind of need zero time, what I call zero time. Take it back to zero so that I can create a little bit. And so I've been pacing my shows out. But the next big show I'm doing is not probably until April, and I'm glad because I'm having the chance to finally get some music down that I've been wanting to for months and months and months, so it's good. And my background is really recording artist. I mean, I started recording at 7 years old, and I loved it. I've always loved it. I feel like, at least being a vocalist, the voice is an instrument, and to be able to paint with it on tape, back when I was 7, it was still tape, and now, whatever we're using now, is such a beautiful experience, and it's really fun. So I always go back to recording. It just reconnects me with the authenticity that is just you and a mic, and whatever comes out is what's real. You know,
a lot of people don't realize that. You know, the studio it's like a completely different thing than being a live performer.
Yeah.
And you know, it's
an instrument on its own.
It is, and it's a completely different way to think of the songs. Like, you know, me and Bill do a lot of recording in Chalkeye, and you know, I mainly think of us as a live band. But when we get in the studio, the songs become something different because, you know, it's like, now let's use the studio, you know, because you can do so much more in the studio.
It's real intimate too.
Yeah.
You know, every nuance is present when you're recording, and there's something really. I mean, it can be terrifying as well, but it is. Yeah. It's a really authentic experience to have when you're in a mirror, a sonic mirror, where you're hearing everything that's going on. It's really cool.
Headphones are an interesting experience too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in the studio you can go all the way down the rabbit hole, though. It's like, I want to add this, and then I want to add this, and then oh, this would be good too. And the next thing you know, it's like, what have we done?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea.
I had that problem on 4-track cassette. It was really bad.
Right.
Yeah, now that you've got 100,000 tracks to choose from,
right? Exactly.
You can overdo it.
Yes.
But that's great to have that limitation sometimes. You know, because it'll minimalize the recording and the performance.
I like to say I have 4-track digital now.
Yeah. So did the Beatles when they did Sgt. Pepper. So yeah.
And I think with the event of home studios being so good, I think it makes that worse because before you were kind of, we have so many dollars. Let's get what's important.
Yep.
Now it's like, well, you know, I can record till the end of time at my house. You know.
Well, and it's crazy because when I did my first commercial session working as a singer, you got paid for doing it quickly because time is money.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, we've got this much time, we've got this much tape. Can you get it done? You know.
Yeah.
And that's what made you successful as a recording artist.
Well, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be
Your
here.
voice is spectacular. The first time I saw you was Whispering Beard. And we actually talked on the phone about vocal lessons a couple years ago, maybe. But I didn't put those two things together until recently.
Who's this guy?
Anyway, so yeah, I saw you at Whispering Beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whispering Beard. We played, me and Bill played at Whispering Beard, and you guys
played before me.
I think we played on the other stage before you did.
Right before.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I kept looking at Bill today, like, I know you, I've seen you somewhere, and he was like, I don't think so. And I was like, I think so.
And then I figured it out.
And I was your videographer.
Yeah, and I was your we were both there.
That's great.
So yeah, we've all known each other.
Yeah. It's okay.
Not known each other.
I know both shows well. I could probably tell you guys what you were wearing.
We've got all the evidence.
You know, that's funny. When you do editing, you really get to know people well. It's like, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You definitely get a view of somebody. Like, I was talking to Crystal after her show because it was just such a, like, she was performing for an audience, but when I'm sitting there and I'm operating, you know, like 5 cameras and I'm so hyper focused on her, I could see every nuance of what she's projecting, you know, and in her face. And I mean, she has such a pure spirit. I mean, she is putting her soul out there when she's performing in a way that I've maybe never seen anybody do.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a weird, like, almost like you were preaching to me. I felt like I could just really connect to every single word that you said. And I needed it, I think, at that point, too. So it's always such a pleasure to get to shoot video.
What a beautiful day that was. It was like the weather was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And we've all played together too. We do something called the Women of Rock show.
Okay.
And so there's several other female artists that are involved in that.
You put a skirt on?
I do.
Well, that's the show, right?
She put a beard on for Whispering Beard?
It's a kilt, sir. Mind you.
Excuse me.
Yes. How dare you insult my Scottish background? Yeah. But yeah, a lot of connections here.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. What do you guys think about this coffee?
Delicious.
It's awesome. What is this, Janelle?
Today's brew from Branch Hill Coffee is Kona coffee. The coffee beans are Brazilian beans grown in Hawaii. It's 100% pure, delicious, mild, and smooth.
I tell you
And
what.
low in my cup.
Yeah, this is good stuff, man.
I tell you, but Mike's drinking my cup right now.
Well, you're not going to have.
Yeah, I can't take after that.
I had him drinking from a lot of cups on the
All right. Well, with that, I will pick my cup back up.
Double fist it. It's all good.
We got some cool guitars.
It's not a biohazard.
Yes, no biohazard.
Right.
Yeah, we got to replace that one for you, buddy. Well, anyway, I brought some cool guitars
Yes.
from Mike's Music for you guys
Love
to
it.
play.
Yeah.
Bought some Beatles guitars for the newbies.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Beatles enthusiasts.
Yes.
one of the coolest Gibsons I had for my buddy Bill.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. And we're gonna play these guitars and have some cool songs coming up real soon.
Yeah, I'm good. Everybody's labs on.
Everybody wearing them? Reader?
Hello, mine's not, because I'm a dumbass.
He said it. So, episode.
Episode shit. Episode shit. We did
Oh, that was the last episode.
shit. Crazy eight. That might
be
episode 3 is an oh shit.
That might be that.
Oh.
Oh dear.
I can't believe it.
Alright.
Surf's up.
Do a survey. Check 1, 2, test 1, 2. Big testes. Check 1, 2. Look around and make sure we got no beer cans and that kind of stuff.
Pour whipped cream over my junk
Yes.
that night. Hoping
Just in case everybody would have something to eat. In case.
Soft.
Testicle. Testicle. I literally almost wore a cape.
That's awesome.
It's very cool.
I think whipped cream on my junk might be the name of the show.
Yeah.
Back on the buzz.
Oh.
Yeah. Everybody played a little musical chairs during the break there. We all got coffee and guitars, except for my buddy Bill Sears here.
We'll let you
He just got moved.
Yeah. I'm looking so forward to it.
So, Crystal,
Yes,
you're so sweet. Thank you for coming.
absolutely. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
What are you going to play for us today?
Today I'm going to play a song called Better Way. It's a song that I like to do a lot just because it kind of speaks to, as humans, our hunger for an environment in our lives together of empathy and connection, and what it feels like when you are disconnected from different people that play different roles in your life and the pain that can be caused there. It was actually written after the Ferguson shootings a while ago, and because, I mean, there's been so many other acts of violence in our country since then, but they always seem to inspire a lot of anger in me, and I'm sure in a lot of people, where you're just like, why can't it stop? When will it stop? And I started thinking, gosh, I'm getting so angry that I want to kill somebody.
Wow.
And then I thought, I see. So where does it stop? It stops inside of me. I can go inside and I can take that feeling of anger and violence, and because at least being a musician, we have such a wonderful vehicle for this, because music is a meditation. You can take that in and just breathe that sense of anger and hurt in and turn it into almost an act of supplication, where it's like, yeah, I do feel that. I feel that sense of hurt and pain. The thing that caused that was that same hurt and pain, but I can alchemize it and turn it into an ask that we rise to another level of awareness, that I rise to another level of awareness, and I say there's a better way. Whether my brain can comprehend it at this moment or not, whether my emotions are in a logical place, which they usually aren't, right? There's still a being part of us that encompasses something that's larger, that sometimes our brain doesn't catch on to until later.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the song is about. It just
Wow,
says
that's awesome.
there must be a better way. no matter what the brokenness I'm seeing around me is, I'm a creative being and I know I can create something more.
I always turn to chocolate cake, but yeah, that's
right? It's a shift in consciousness.
Right.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm totally into that. I am.
So I guess this is kind of like a Dylan song then, with like 100 lyrics, because that was a big explanation.
Well, it's, I don't know. I feel like sometimes the way to get down to those types of feelings that are hard to describe are really simple songs. And that's why the song repeats itself over and over again, because there's really not much else to say.
Drive the point.
Right. Just say it and feel it and breathe it. That's it. And you'll get there.
And I think this is a good moment to bring this up. You played with Victor Wooten, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is like one of my heroes. He's a great guy.
Yes.
I mean,
my hero.
Fill me in. Give me all the secrets. Tell me what it's like with Victor.
So, I met Vic. See, I'm 38 now. I met Vic when I was 25. Sometime in that period. Back then, I was just strictly still doing primarily commercial music, studio music, and shows, theater shows. Where did you meet him? I was in Nashville at the time, and I had been hired by the Gaylord Corporation, the Opryland people, to do a large Christmas show. It was just huge. It was like,
Opryland
an amusement
production deal.
park show on crack. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a giant snow globe woman at one point.
Cool.
It's huge sets and things like that. And his
Where's
daughter.
that snow globe that we had over there?
Oh, yeah.
His
daughter was in the show. She was one of the stars of the show. She was 6 years old at the time. Now she's in college, which is weird. Kids just grow up, I guess. And he and his brothers came to one of our previews, and he came up to me after a show and said, "Hey, I wanted to know if while you're in town, you'd like to come to my house and record a song. I really like to." And I don't remember. I mean, I don't know. He just said he liked my voice. So I said, okay, yes.
You knew who he was and knew, like...
I vaguely knew. I knew who he was, but I didn't really know his music at the time.
Yeah, I'm a bass player, so
right, story over. Right, I know. And after having met him and known just very, very little about him, I dug into his music a little bit before I ended up going over that night, and I thought, oh my God, this is great. This is like the Miles Davis of my time. I mean, so we ended up...
And he's a spiritual guy, too.
Well, right, that's the thing. And he kind of intervened in my life in a time when I was a little disillusioned with just working as a musician and not really feeling like I was tapping my heartstrings at all. And probably because I grew up in a professional world, where it was all about doing the gigs and getting the gigs and never stopping. Blah, blah, blah. I never really stopped myself to think about the artistic side or the heart side. Other people do that more successfully, like these two. They're way more successful at that than I have ever been. I'm just now really getting a handle on weaving the two together. But yeah, he is a very laid-back person.
Yeah, his approach to what he does. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine.
It's just amazing. It's so organic.
Yes.
And it's like, it just flows.
Yes.
He's figured that out.
It was really healing for me because, after we cut that song, I didn't see him for probably 6 years. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was on Facebook and I saw an ad in the corner of the page for his music and nature camp, because he does a lot of camps out at this place that he calls Wooten Woods. And I thought, well, I wonder how he's doing. I really enjoyed him and his wife and his kids, and they were just very kind to me. And so I reached out to Holly, his wife, that night. And I said, Holly, how are you? I just saw an ad and thought of you and thought I'd reach out. And she said, we've been looking for you. This was her real answer. Wow. It was like some kind of Matrix thing. It's like, follow the white rabbit. I was just like, what? You mean you've been looking for me? She said, yeah, we've been looking for you. Vic's putting together a new tour for his Sword and Stone record, and he wants it to be female focused, and he wants you to be the lead singer of his band.
Wow.
And you were like, oh, I can't do that.
I'd rather go to the camp. Just put me in the camp,
What's it pay?
I didn't even ask.
You guys have the new rides there and stuff like that.
I did not ask. I said yes, yes, and yes. That's great. She said, great, he'll call you tomorrow. I said, awesome. He called me the next day, we talked. I said, this is perfect timing. I just quit my administrative sourcing job that I was doing and was just really hungering to get back out there. And so few weeks later, I was down in his studio in Nashville. We recorded another song for that record called A Woman's Strength. We ended up taking the old recording, which was of Stevie Wonder's song Overjoyed, and he just said, I don't want to re-record it. That was one of the best recordings of that song I've ever heard. I'm putting it on the record. I said, okay, fine. I said, of course I want to re-record it because I'm a vocalist and I'm sick in the head.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I'm like, it wasn't good enough. I could do it better now. You know, no. We didn't record it again, and that's good. So those two songs ended up on that record, and I ended up out with him for about 3 years. We traveled everywhere, Europe, Japan, South
congratulations,
America,
that's
North
awesome.
America.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
And he really helped, and a lot of people I found out that are around him say this, that he really helped restore in me the authentic piece of musician part of me, the part of me that just wants to create and be into magic and into music, you know. And he really supported me in that, and that's how he is with everyone. He just inspires that natural musical shamanic part of you to just go wild and be what it is.
Maybe I should go to that camp then.
It's pretty amazing, yeah. And we had several moments. Some of my favorite moments on that tour were just when he and I were out on stage, just the two of us, and he would get his loop pedal out, and we would just play for like 15 minutes straight, he and I.
That's
just
awesome.
go on and on and on and on. It was so much fun. And he's free to do that. You know, not all musicians are comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But he
What an
was,
experience, man.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I asked, have you read his book?
No.
The Music Lesson? I'll recommend it.
Okay.
It's one of the best books on music. I asked him once, I said, because there's this character in it named Michael, who's his guide in this story, who's Victor's guide in the story. And I said, is he real? And of course, in Victor fashion, he says, would it matter?
That's awesome.
And I tell that story a lot because that kind of encapsulates who he is.
That's cool. Well, we can't wait to hear the song. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
See the bones dry at my feet. Why do you shoot before you speak? Leaving every street you keep weeping. You must hate answering to me. You are a modern Pharisee with your bloody eyes of greed. Now we're weeping. Content to let the children bleed, trading teeth for golden teeth, smiling bright at your deceit. Where's the healing you're killing? Soul for your sins, content to keep your angry walls within, 'cause you're just mere men. I say you're just mere men. When you feel you can't go on, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like giving up, just hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo!
Very, very nice.
Yeah. 10 o'clock in the morning even. Tears it up. Yeah. God bless you. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know that's not easy early on a Sunday morning.
I was raised singing in church, so my mom got me up at 7. Let's run your song. Let's run your song before the service.
Oh, there you go.
Plastered upon my mind forever and ever.
So good.
Thanks.
So good. And where can we hear that one?
So that one you can hear on all the major platforms. For a long time, I had a band, very large band of many of the friends that I love who played horns and bass and guitar called the Queen City Band.
Ben Franks plays in that band.
That's right.
He was on the show. He's great.
Oh, cool. Right on. Yeah, he and his wife have been friends of our family for 10 plus years. Actually, my husband knew them before I even knew them. Yeah, so you can hear that on Spotify, Apple Music, all over the place. And then I've got some new music coming out here shortly. I just finished putting a studio in my basement thanks to my husband's help and the help of a few friends. So now I'm able to really go back to recording just from scratch, you know?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's there to produce. There's no deadlines. I've not known what that's really like.
Right.
So I'm going in recording fresh, and I've got actually my first single that'll be out soon is one that Vic and I recorded together that he wrote, which I really love, called When You Grow Up.
Wow.
It's on one of his earlier records, but I wanted to do my own version of it because I love the song. I just love it. And then I'm going to release that one along with my new song called Abundantly. So that'll be out this spring.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks again for coming.
Oh, yeah,
really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
It's great to spend time with you guys.
And Jeff learned the song and played with you. And how much notice, Jeff?
I totally learned the song. What time is it? 5 minutes ago?
And Misty was jamming out over here with you.
I sprung
Great
it.
team.
I sprung it on him, yeah.
I love it. Love it.
What'd you think about the guitar, Jeff?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got no history to it. Let's put it that way.
Right, yeah.
No one's ever used this guitar. That
No
I
one
know of.
famous ever used that
there's
model before, did
famous
they?
people that have ever used this. It's beautiful. It works really well with her song.
Well, I know you know what it
What's
is.
up with what are these made of up here? What's going on?
I don't know.
What is what made of?
From the tuning.
The tuning tips. Those are just plastic.
Really? They look really cool. From a non-guitar player to a guitar player crowd.
Let me grab it from you.
Yeah. So where did you get this one?
You know what? This one we bought on a trip.
On the 6,000 mile trip?
Yeah, we bought it at the San Francisco Guitar Show.
Oh man!
From a friend of ours who is one of the crew guys for Sublime.
Yeah.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, we went there to my buddy Eric's house, and this is a J160E, which I know Jeff knows because he's a huge Beatles fan. Most famous for being played by the Beatles. What's interesting about this guitar is it's one of the early electric acoustic models.
Right.
And it has a pickup here, which is a P90. And people who know P90s usually are used to them having big covers. But it's actually underneath the board and sticks up through there.
Yeah.
But it's the same pickup, which is a large single coil pickup.
Nice.
So they tend to be bright, but they're not bright because it's up by the neck. They kind of compensate by that. So it's got a pretty big bass response. And they amazingly sound really, really good as acoustic guitars. This is a clean one. This one is late 60s, probably about 66, 65, 66.
Nice.
The Beatles ones were a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But they still have pretty much the same exact features as this guitar.
Yeah, that was their go-to live acoustic.
Yeah, they played this forever, on a million songs and a lot live. It's basically a J45, which is the main Gibson guitar, which is a J45 is Sunburst, which this is, and the only difference is it has the pickups, but all the other features are exactly the same. well, it does have trapezoid inlays. So actually, it's more like a Southern Jumbo. Also has an inlay in the headstock.
And those are plastic, right?
And those are plastic. That's right.
They're not ivory or something. I was imagining
Whalebone,
that they were,
not made from
that's what I was, right. That's bad. We should
Boardwall tusk or whatever.
tusk.
But it worked fine, acoustic,
Yes. Lovely guitar, sir.
The early ones are actually ply tops. And they don't tend to sound as good as the later ones. The first year, I believe, is 54. And 54 and 5 are usually ply tops. And if you play them acoustically, they don't sound quite as good.
Yeah.
They also, the adjustable bridges on the earlier ones have different wheels. If you look at the early one, you'll see these great big knobs that are on here. And that only happens early on. So, yeah, it's a cool guitar. I thought it was the perfect guitar for you guys to play.
It really accompanied well.
Yes, he knows us well.
And Misty played a Texan, which we'll talk about a little bit here later. You guys are going to reuse that one, right?
I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for helping out, guys. And we're going to move on to scene 2. Back on Fret Buzz with all my good friends.
Yay.
Yeah, woo!
Bill.
Yeah, Bill Sears is with us.
Yay, Bill.
First time I've been on the show.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I apologize for not announcing you at the beginning.
Well,
Yeah, well.
you know,
If you don't know him by now,
I take him for granted because we live
He's your
together.
bandmate.
we rehearse
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
We're constantly
We were-
writing music, recording, all
Yeah.
of that, doing shows, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, me either, buddy. I appreciate it. But he has to put up with me, so I do things like not introduce him.
I'm used to it.
that and you forget loading your equipment in at the end of the shows. You have to do that.
We're pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Bill was kind enough to come in when Aaron got sick and fill in at last minute, and we were just sitting here trying to figure out what in the world we're going to do.
Yeah.
We hoped our friend Rachel was going to be here with us, who usually helps us out with the show, but she's also sick. So we played last night,
Yes.
and we're both very tired,
Yes.
and we've both been kind of sick. So we'll see
Yes.
what happens here.
That's right.
I think people want to know.
We're on the end of it, actually.
Yeah.
People want to know.
I
Sometimes
don't
cool
think we're
things happen
contagious.
when you're sick, though. Sometimes cool sounds are there when
Yeah,
you're
well,
sick.
it could be like dual Tom Waits. You never know.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying.
People want to know who is Chalkeye though.
Who is Chalkeye?
Who is Chalkeye?
Well, Chalkeye has two meanings. Chalkeye, Bill originally told me a story. Do you want to tell the story?
I want to tell the story.
Yeah, you tell the story.
My family, both sides of my family, are from Central Kentucky. And when I say Central Kentucky, I mean Liberty, Kentucky, Pulaski County, Casey County,
Hill
Kentucky.
people.
Yes. The Sears family started when an Irishman came over and went to Kentucky and married an Indian squaw.
Wow.
And they have been there ever since. So in the county down there, my grandfather owns 2 farms, one on one side of the county and one on the other. And there was this man down the road that my father grew up with, and when he was born, he came out and his eyes were solid white. And they didn't change for a long time. And they named him Chalkeye. And he grew up to be a big-hearted man who helped out all the people in the community. Whenever their cars would break down or anything, they would bring it to him because he was an excellent mechanic. And he did that and helped people out and worked for cheap, fixing their cars and things like that, and made a little moonshine on the weekends.
Nice.
I'm gonna go get Chalkeye tonight. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Exactly. So when it came time to name the band, that's
Yeah, he suggested that to me.
That's
We were
what
playing the
came-
name game. I'm sure you guys have all done that.
Oh my gosh.
Which drives me to madness.
Can't take it. I know.
And we weren't real deep in it. It actually went pretty fast. And he suggested chalk eye, and I Googled chalk eye before I knew the story. And it came up that the Native Americans would draw these circles around their horses when they would put war paint on their horses, and they would call that chalk eye. And they would do that because it would help them see danger. So I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, nice.
I was like, yeah, that's great, man. So that's why I named it chalk eye. Then I heard the story. It was just like, oh yeah, it's
Has
even
to
better.
be then. Yeah.
So that's what chalk
You
eye
have
is.
your reason, he has his reason,
Right.
and they both go great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, like, how long have you guys been at it? You guys started off as just doing two guitars,
Just
like
the
two
duo,
acoustic
yeah.
with effects and stuff like that, which is
Yeah, we still do that. Not as
occasionally.
much, but we still do that a lot. We started out just doing two acoustics, but like I would play a lot of weird
right.
keyboardy sounds with my guitar and stuff.
Right.
We did what we called the recording tour, where we went around to every studio in town and we did one song.
That's great.
And a lot of
Nice.
times we would make the song up there, or we would just do it kind of spur of the moment, because we didn't want to go down the rabbit hole like you were talking about before. We just wanted to capture the live thing and be fresh at it. So we have a bunch of songs in the can that are just dual acoustic songs like that
Nice.
we did a bunch of different
And then
studios.
when you're going around studios, you start to pick up more people along the way.
Well, yeah, we started having the opportunity to have other people play with us. And now we've got there's probably 8 people that play with us in Chalk Eye on and off now.
Yeah. If someone's sick, we can call somebody else, and they know our songs and stuff like that.
That's great.
So we have like an acoustic version, and we sort of have like a half acoustic version, which is me and Bill and Rachel, and sometimes Jason or Mark plays bass with no drummer. And then, we have a bunch of different versions that we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we've got an acoustic EP finished, and then almost a full album finished electric, but
Yeah.
it's not mixed yet. So what the plan is to release the electric album, and then 6 months later release the acoustic album. So it's kind of a
Or some combination of
1-2
that.
punch kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, how that goes.
Yeah, still fighting.
You guys gig really consistently, though, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, we love to gig, and I'd like to do more out-of-town gigs. I'd really like to play in Lexington soon, or down that way.
And you guys are radio stars also. You're always on...
We go on WLW
yeah.
sometimes and talk about our music and
Oh, I thought you were talking about Urban Artifact.
stuff like that.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the song.
Okay.
Be my guest.
So, this song's called "The Porch," and it's about that time in the evening when the sun's going down, and it's not quite dark yet, and it's still light. That twilight time, and what that feels like.
It's the best. It's the best time.
You ready, Mike?
I'm ready, buddy.
Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Supper time, long since we store them away in a little old place. We keep them right there till we need them the most. Soon the old shadows will start coming down past the tree line, straight into the ground. And then the old stars will start spinning round. You'll wonder how far it is to the stars.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good enough.
Love it.
What can I say? Color me impressed.
Yeah. Thank you very much, man.
So, like, who's playing what there? I noticed this isn't a really complete Telecaster. It's missing a part, right?
It is.
All right.
This is a Telecaster Custom, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the difference is between a normal... Well, actually, it's an Esquire Custom.
Okay.
You know the difference between an Esquire and a Tele?
Spelling.
Spelling is different? That is true. You're right there. It has one pickup. A Telecaster has two pickups. Mm-hmm. So an Esquire has one. And what's interesting about this early wiring is it's got what they call like a sort of like a bass sound. It's a lot bassier in this position because it was when people would play like play the punch part right toms, you know. So in this position, you have a tone knob. In this position, it bypasses the tone knob, so it's just straight pickup.
Okay. So just the middle position for the tone knob.
Yeah. And I play an Esquire, and the other band I play a 57. This is a 61.
Nice.
And this is a slab rosewood board with clay dot inlays. My 57 has a maple board.
Slab, for those who don't.
Slab means when the fretboard is a slab instead of arched. It's like a big piece of rosewood that's flat on the top. Mm-hmm. And they only did that, the first few years they did that. It's a desirable time. And also the what makes it a custom Esquire as opposed to a normal Esquire is the double binding. These were special guitars that, they didn't do many bound Telecasters. And the early ones, I don't know if you noticed, but this is sort of purple. It's a little bit different color than the rest of the guitar, which is kind of strange. You would think they would continue the black around, but it's sort of like a purple color, a brownish purple. And that's also a feature of the early ones. I love Esquires. I've just always loved them. I like one pickup guitars. I think they're cool.
Now, was there ever one made where it had the rhythm or the pickup up by the neck and not down by the bridge?
You know what? They never made a one pickup neck thing. I think you should design that. That's a good idea. I like that.
There we go.
And this a beautiful acoustic mic.
That is a Gibson Ray Whitley Recording King, which is a really, really super rare guitar from the 30s, made for Montgomery Ward by Gibson. This one is probably about 1939.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really sings. It sings out.
Yeah. Recording King was sort of an off-brand of Gibson, and they did generally inexpensive guitars, but Ray Whitley he had his own signature model, and a lot of times on the headstock they'll say Ray Whitley, this one doesn't. But they have this special pick guard on the front here, this big giant tortoise guard. The body is what you would call a Gibson jumbo size, even though it's a dreadnought, they called it jumbo. It has normal features from the 30s, which is what they call the skinny bridge, non-belly bridge, because they have a belly later on. I think it's a cool guitar. I just love Gibson flat tops, and that's a really, really extremely rare one. I tried to have it on the show a couple times, and I don't think people really grasped what it was. So it never made it, and
it's full.
Since I know Bill, I can make
it's
it
really nice.
Now, the Recording King, I think at your other store, or this store, you had a ukulele that were there like mandolins and ukes also that were by him?
I think you're thinking of Roy Smeck.
No,
there might be Recording King ukuleles, but mostly the Recording King guitars are generally smaller.
Okay.
They're also like what people call Kalamazoo guitars, and usually they're lower end guitars, but this is a very high end guitar, and it's really in good shape. I mean, sometimes these guitars are rosewood. This is actually, I know you can't see it in the camera, but I'll show close-ups later. This is mahogany. But a lot of times they are rosewood backs. And the rosewood Gibson guitars from the 30s, like advanced jumbos, and occasionally a J45 will have rosewood, are really extremely expensive guitars. But I love mahogany guitars. They're my favorite guitars.
How come?
I just think it's a really nice musical wood. It's mellow, it's nice and warm.
Seemed to me like it changed the attack. The attack was much stronger.
That guitar does have a tight attack.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think it has something to do with just the way where the bridge is in correlation with the sound hole and stuff. And it's a big sound. It sounds a lot like a J200.
It really does.
Yeah, and J200s are maple guitars. That's what gives them their sound. They're kind of bright, but that's a pretty bright guitar for a big guitar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah. I also love mahogany. I think this is in the back of my head because I'm a Les Paul guy. I love 50s Les Paul.
Yeah.
And they're mostly mahogany.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the minority there, Mike. Nobody loves 50s Les Pauls.
I wish that was the case. They'd be cheaper.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a fan of mahogany from Diana Ross's movie.
That was an awkward silence.
I'm trying to figure out what movie that is.
It's called Mahogany.
Yeah.
The song's in it.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a simple joke. All you had to do was know the film name. But
That was a Saturday night joke, not a Sunday morning.
Cut.
I just want to say real fast, it's a joy to write songs with you.
Oh, you too, Mike. We've been playing together 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And just moving forward, still moving forward.
Yeah. He's always consistent. He's always there. He's always willing to play. And he's always willing to work, which we all know is not always the case.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And thanks
you
for
guys
coming.
do well together, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
thanks, Bill.
You guys play well with each other. Play nice with each other.
Where you going to? Do you like the things
That was good.
life is showing you?
I don't do that now that I know better. I have come to learn a better way.
Do you often go for like a spit valve on the guitar? Like, I just spit.
And I get tired of here. It ain't no big deal. I'm dying inside, and nobody knows how I feel.
Too bad.
It's a bipolar thing. So I take if my light shines. Wait, Dallas, are you gonna do a happy song?
Yeah.
John's always happy. We got a happy song over here. Okay.
If I need a guitar string, I can pull a whisker off it.
Be singing, we'll be shouting, oh, we'll raise our voices high. You almost got it.
Hallelujah, brother.
All right, back on the bus.
Yes.
And I've really been looking forward to hearing you guys again.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks for having us here. We appreciate it.
Jeff and Misty from the Newbies, and many, many other ventures.
Yeah, many other ventures.
Thanks for coming.
Before we
man.
get into this venture, though, I'd like some more coffee from our lovely barista Janelle.
Branch Hill Coffee.
Branch it out.
Coffee.
Branch it
Also,
out.
a shout out to our crew and Mr. Wayne Littmer there. On the
Yeah. Thank you.
Everybody here is having a good time.
Yes.
There you go.
Did you guys notice that Bill asked for coffee? She came and gave me coffee.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's like sneaking his mouth.
No, I love that.
At least I got a little. So.
Intercepted.
Anybody else? Want any?
Good.
Okay.
I'm sufficiently fretful.
Yeah. I am actually feeling this coffee.
Yeah.
Seriously. I really
I'm
am.
feeling the sickness everybody was talking about.
Deep breath.
Uh-oh.
Deep cleansing breath.
So I'm gonna sleep my mug into other people's places.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably already happened.
Anywho.
So, what are you playing for us?
Well, we're gonna do. We've been working on an album for a while now, and
A very long time.
Oh yeah, I have a collection of songs. You know that
Years.
rabbit hole you guys were talking about.
You went down the hole.
Yeah.
Years and years.
Yeah. So in all the songs we have, this is one that we've played recently quite a bit. The name of the song is "The Ballad of Sullivan Ballou," Dear Sarah. And you guys, Ken Burns fans, you guys ever watch any of his stuff?
Yeah.
So his very first one, the Civil War, we were, I was watching that in the first episode of the Civil War. The ending of it, there's a segment called Honorable Manhood, and it's about Sullivan Ballou, who was, a soldier at the Battle of Bull Run. And right before he went to battle, he knew he was going to die, and he just reconciled his life and put it into a note. And he wrote this note to his wife, Sarah, and basically lined up all of his faults, all of his flaws, apologized for him, explained why he was going to war. And it's a really, really beautiful letter of love and, how he hopes the family carries on, but he's got to do what he's got to do. And, when you see that segment, I don't care who you are, you're in tears.
Yeah.
And so I was really moved by it and spent a whole summer trying to figure out how to take a letter and put it into a song. And this is the outcome of that. Again, Dear Sarah, The Battle of Sullivan Ballou.
To write the lines that you may read when I am gone. For country calls me to the battlefield, and I am willing. Not mine will but thine, O God, be done. It is necessary that I should fall, then I am ready. Forgive me for my many flaws. of our blissfulness come creeping over me and gratifying me. I thank God that we never got to be. I'm engaged. Sarah, do not mourn me, for we shall meet again. It's hard for me to give you up, burn down hopes of future years. We would see our family grow, a destiny I'll never know. And when my last breath escapes me, it will whisper, Sarah, so will be your guiding light through your brightest day and darkest night. I'll be the strength when you are weak and the breeze upon your cheek. My love forever true, I will wait for you.
Amazing, bro.
Thank you, man.
Really, really good, guys. So good.
Yeah. Yeah,
just
I
really
encourage anybody to see that Civil War documentary again by Ken Burns and watch that first episode. It really is absolutely.
Now, is it
amazing.
like at the beginning of what is it? Over the Rainbow or whatever that is? The Lions Roar match your song up to what's going on the screen.
Yeah,
you
could
do
that. Right. Kind of like
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, a little Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Over the
Wizard of
Rainbow.
Oz.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
So your guitar playing on that remind me so much of Steven Stills.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Was that an influence or just?
It always is.
Always.
How can it not be?
Yeah.
You know?
Such an underrated guitarist, I think. Probably the most underrated guitarist. Stills is just amazing.
Yeah. He's an amazing player. Percussive as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that guitar she's playing is really good for percussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, I don't know if I could play a drum, and then she gets out there, like,
made for
that was
Beatles
amazing.
and
It was really, really cool. Yeah.
It's when you're too lazy to learn all the finger picking stuff. You're like, I'll just bang. It's work.
So, having known you for so long,
Yeah.
man, I'm so impressed, Jeff.
No, thank you, man.
What you've achieved is.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been.
It's really, really
fortunate.
cool. I mean, I want to say that you're like, besides an amazing musician and songwriter, and have a lovely partner, and you guys are successful as a band, as an entrepreneur, you're achieved great things, man.
Well, I've learned a lot from you. It was really seeing a young guy who just said, "I'm going to start my own business and do what I want to do in life," and it's very inspiring. Plus, you showed me Indian food. I had first time I ever had Indian food. He's like, "Let me tell you about business. Let's go
That
out."
sounds
You ever
pretty
had
good,
Indian
right
food?
now.
Travel out to California, he'll show you Mexican.
I appreciate it. It was
Oh,
great.
that's
It's
cool.
great being able to work with you, and then to get inspired by that and be able to go out and say,
thanks.
let's do what we want to do in life.
Yeah, man. Life's too short. You got to do that.
Do.
You certainly have achieved a great deal.
Thank you, man. It's
Congratulations.
We do. We pinch ourselves all the time. The good fortune that's come to our band, not only for our original music. We've been a band, it's going to be coming on 16 years now, the Newbies have. And, all the original projects we've been a part of, working with string sections and horn sections. And, and we also do, of course, the Beatles, a lot of Beatles shows. And we're getting ready to go on a flower power cruise and getting,
cool.
Yeah, and so it's taken us places all over the world, We've played, Beatles Fest and been in the Cavern Club and played there. And
that's neat.
This upcoming cruise we're doing, I think, who's on it? Arlo Guthrie.
The Zombies.
The Zombies. Yeah, the Turtles.
Yeah, there's.
Arlo's still touring. Huh?
Yeah.
But everybody's in bed by 9.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one would think. One would think they aren't, though. And that's cool, and it's great because they schedule us in a way to where the headlining shows obviously get the best slot, but they all want to have a drink when they're done. And guess where they come? They come to see us play.
Yeah.
And,
You're in a capsule, essentially. So.
Yeah, that's intimidating, right?
Peter Noon wants to have a beer too.
Yeah, Peter Noon wants to have a beer or have Misty up to sing a song.
Peter Asher,
Or, excuse me, Peter Asher. Yeah, Peter Asher.
I actually, last year we did it, I got to perform with Cheech Marin, which was pretty
awesome. That's pretty neat.
For what?
The locomotion.
Hold this.
We did Peter Asher put on a Carole King tribute and had a bunch of the artists from the celebrities and the non-celebrities do Carole King songs, and being one of the, there weren't very many female performers, I was invited to be part of it. So it was great. I got to sing harmony with Susan Calsill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was came up and joined us on stage, and their band, The Circle, I don't know if you remember them, Red Rubber Ball, they came up, we did Maybe I'm Amazed with them. And
wow.
So I equate it to a field of dreams for musicians. These cruises, I highly recommend them. Not only from a musician standpoint where you really get to know some amazing people, you also, from a fan standpoint, if you go on these cruises, you're sitting, eating with these folks. They're very approachable, and I think the only negativity I hear with some of these cruises are well, it's not the real band or all of the real band.
Yeah, but,
I totally disagree with that. I used to think that way, but the reality is we're living in a time that's very special, and for us to even be able to see one performer from a group, because 20 years from now it's the same as Beethoven and Mozart. It's all going to be tribute bands. So
It's like you said, though, sometimes half the band isn't alive anymore. So what are you going to do?
We should all be so lucky, though.
Yeah.
We should all be so lucky to be here at the beginning of rock and roll and still be able to see these legends in any way, shape, or form. And we should absolutely appreciate the fact that we're, alive.
That's right.
We are. Yeah.
Although I don't know if I want to see a Beatles thing with just Pete Best.
Pete Best? Yeah. Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. We've seen that. Yeah. Pete's been on stage with a couple friends of ours. We get serious Beatles nerds. You talk about Mike. Thank you again for bringing these guitars out. But one of our friends, even knew what drum chair Pete used, and so he found it, and got it, and so Pete was going to sit in with him, and he sat on the chair, and he didn't notice anything about it. So my friend had a comment. He goes, Pete, we got you the same chair that you had before. What do you think of it? And he wiggles it, looks at it, he goes, still feels like crap, mate.
Yeah. Well, you reach a certain age, you probably shouldn't be sitting in the same stool you did when you were 12 or whatever.
I'll be sitting in my own stool.
Yeah, that's right. Be careful what you wish for.
I was going to say, oh, God.
Speaking of Beatles stuff, I saw you guys at the McCartney show. You guys were actually set out front?
Yeah, we decided to busk for it.
That's so cool.
We've seen McCartney a lot. Really, we got on a kick for a few years where we went like every time we could go. Like flew to Vegas to see him, and all these things.
Yeah.
And I think it was when he played here in Cincy, and we were sort of like, let's not get tickets because we'd just seen him in Vegas a few weeks earlier.
Right.
And then I think a few days prior, we're like, let's just go busk and see if we can make enough money to get our tickets. Mm-hmm. And we did. So we got 3 tickets.
Oh, that's awesome.
But,
Yeah, I didn't have any idea you guys were going to be. I got the call to bring some guitars or whatever. So
Yeah.
I got lucky and got to go backstage. But I was walking. I was like, "Hey, I can't believe it's here."
Yeah.
So
it worked too. Yeah.
And Bill went with me
yes,
too.
That was a very exciting show.
Cool.
Yeah.
It was the only time I've ever seen him, and I was completely blown away.
Yeah.
What a great show.
He's fantastic. Absolutely amazing. And
his band is great.
His band is great. Good
got
people
to spend
too.
a little bit of time with those guys before, and just really down to earth, sweet guys. And they can't even believe that they're in McCartney's band,
Yeah.
you know, to this day, you know.
Yeah, the whole Beatles connection, what it has done not only for everybody, you know, just like that. We got our tickets. We play a couple Beatles songs outside. Our tickets are paid for. But from an original music standpoint, all the fans we've gathered from doing these festivals, one of the great festivals we do in the Louisville area, in Jeffersonville, Indiana, is the Abbey Road on the River Festival every year, Memorial Day weekend. And talk about a stockpile of amazing guitars, all these bands that have come from all over the world to Abbey Road on the River every Memorial Day. It's amazing what you see there. I think this year, who do we have? The Little River Band's playing.
Cool.
You know, they always come. All these artists come and they'll play Beatles songs as well.
It's not exclusively a Beatles festival anymore, though.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's not?
It's kind of just evolving into an oldies classic rock. Definitely
60s
Beatles
type
forward,
stuff, 50s,
though. But I think what Jeff was starting to touch on was that, you know, we have had, oddly, more success with getting our original music to people since we started playing tributes. The people who see these shows, we're to a much bigger audience than we ever had playing in bars, you know, and so they're curious about us.
Yeah.
And you develop a fan base, and they want to know what else you do other than playing, you know, Dear Prudence or something like that.
Yeah.
They do.
And I think in general, they just kind of like us as people because we want to, I mean, we're fans too.
You're great people.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you're great people.
Well, thank you.
That's
But we're just like them.
Yeah,
you know,
Beatles fans as
We're
well.
just fans, and we just want to geek out too. You
Sure,
know?
yeah.
And so we've been doing this for like really over a decade now. And, you know, at first when we started doing it, it was kind of like on a whim, and then it just became this thing where like, oh, should we feel like we shouldn't be doing this? We should be focused only on our songwriting, you know, are we wrong? And it turns out it was like the best thing we ever could have done to get
That's
our original
awesome.
music out
Yeah.
to people.
That's great.
Even on the cruises that we do, I mean, the guy who's the head of Time Life,
They
he's
run the
on the
cruise
cruise.
line, yeah.
He was asking us at our shows,
Yeah, why are you playing original music?
you should play some originals
music.
for
Yeah.
everybody.
So that's awesome.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
said, is it appropriate? And he's like, I'm saying it's appropriate.
I said,
Who writes the checks?
Yeah. So that's a really good feeling to have.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. There's
So-
no more radio anymore, right? You know, well, I'm not saying completely, but
Yeah.
it's not what it used to be, where you had a chance to be on the radio and that
Yeah,
there
it's
was
not
a large
what it used to
audience.
be, yeah.
Oh, that
You know.
was a fun time
Yeah,
in life.
that
I
was a
remember
fun
when that
time.
was a thing.
Fun time in life, and now this is kind of our new radio, if you will. And
Yeah,
it's
sure.
a good way to get your music
I
out
bet
there.
you've got to hear your songs on the radio before,
Yeah.
haven't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
What a good feeling.
Years ago. It's weird. It was weird. It is good, but it's weird too. You're like, oh my God. You know, because you're the person in the grocery store, in the store, and then that happens and you're like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I just came in here for cereal. I don't know.
That's so awesome.
All right, so that song, Jeff, that you
Yeah.
sung, that is one of your originals, right?
Correct. You know, of course, the words were adapted from Sullivan Ballou himself. You know, so I encourage everybody to look up the letter. You can just Google the letter. It is the most beautiful letter ever written, and that's what it came from.
Let's talk about some of your projects. Do you have projects beside the newbies that you're doing? Or,
Yeah, we have a side project with our friend Michelle Himmer. We put a duo together, and we just had so much fun doing it. And Jeff was always at the shows, so we thought it was kind of silly that if he's there, why don't you utilize his talents?
Oh, yeah.
The name of the band is the Duo Jets, and here we now are 3 people, so people look
And
at
4
it.
sometimes,
yeah,
yeah.
and sometimes 4. Trying to do the math there.
The nerds know
We
what
got
a
a
Duo
sense
Jet
of
is.
humor, man.
Yeah.
It confuses some people because we have the newbies, and then when Jeff and I play as a duet, we're called the tubies. And so then you have the Duo Jets. Sometimes people are like, wait, which
Yeah.
one are we seeing tonight?
And nobody plays Gretsch in the band. Which is funny.
Real fast, let's talk about this guitar.
Yeah. Here, we take
This
a
is
there you go.
This is a Texan, which once again another famous Beatle guitar.
Yep.
They have these inlays, which for the life of me, I have no idea what they're called.
It's a parallelogram.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's the official term for the guitar.
No, it actually is. It is.
Application.
I could not think of it for some reason. Thank you. And one thing about Epiphone guitars is they were a company before Gibson.
Yeah.
And then Gibson bought them in 1957, I believe. And they started making sort of their own models briefly after, around 58. And there's a transition period between 58 and 61 where there's sort of half of the old New York Epiphone company and the Gibson company. And we could show a couple of guitars that are like that. And then As we get into the 60s, they start having their own models. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, the Texan was an old Epiphone model, but this Texan is basically a takeoff of the Gibson J45
Sure,
once
course.
again. But it has these inlays, which were a holdover from the Epiphone company. And what happened early on is the headstocks were smaller on the Epiphones, but they extended these headstocks and made them longer.
Mm-hmm.
So the early Texans have shorter headstocks, similar to that casino there. And then they become longer, I think, in around 64. And the Beatles, I don't know the exact years of what years their guitars were, but I think they were around 63 and 4.
Yeah, it would have had to been. They would have all gotten a bunch of new gear about that time once they started making some dough.
Yeah, and I think one of them had the short headstock, and somebody else, one of the other ones had the long headstock. But this one is mid to late 60s. I would guess it's 1967. This is what you would call like a honey burst as opposed to tobacco burst. It's got a little bit, it's a little lighter than a lot of the tobacco burst colors. I love this color. It has a tortoise pickguard, and you'll notice that the bridge is actually wood. Sometimes they're plastic, sometimes they're wood. That's a time period thing. You see changeover at 65, they start having wood. And yeah, it's a pretty nice, clean guitar.
It is.
These tuners you see in the late 60s, these are Japanese tuners. Not a highlight of the Gibson time period.
Yeah, starting in the late 60s, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually Japanese kind of cheap tuners, honestly. A lot of times they were changed. This one has not been changed, but I think it sounded great. You guys sounded killer.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And to me, this is just like a deco masterpiece, made in the 30s, just the top of the line of handcrafted guitars. So I talked Elliot out of it. And then years passed. I kept the guitar. It is candy apple red with a matching headstock. And nobody really knows if they just did a batch of these or if people ordered them. If you're an Eric Clapton fan, you probably saw him play a Sumner's Telly like this with a Stratocaster neck on. I got about halfway home, and he called me and said, I'm going to sell it to you. So I drove all the way back to Philly after a long week of guitar show. I collect Pelham Blue guitars, and this is one of the rare models. You see Pelham Blue in a lot of guitars. Not really a lot, but more often in SGs and things like that. You never see a 345. This is a 59 Les Paul. It used to belong to Brad Whitford. And it is very figured, which is what makes him the most valuable. This guitar is nicknamed Snake.
Back on Fret Buzz.
Yes.
Yeah. With the fabulous Misty Perholtz.
Hello.
She's going to play us one of her original songs.
Play Misty for me.
Oh, if I only knew it. You'd think after all these years I would have learned it as many times as people request it.
One of the first songs I ever had to learn, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be inspired to learn it one of these days.
Yeah.
So Bill had a song where you talked about dragonflies.
Dragonflies.
It's kind of fitting. I chose to bring a song that also has insects featured as the main protagonists in the song.
Yeah, we were talking about the Beatles earlier.
Yeah, it's a simple song. I've always struggled in my songwriting to write love songs. So this was sort of like an effort to really write a good love song and actually use the word love.
Jeff, you got to step it up.
He's an excellent love songwriter. I, on the other hand,
Peter
have a
Cetera's
lot of
got
angst.
nothing on me.
Not motivation-wise.
Oh, I got you. We were talking about music. All right.
Sorry.
So this is a song called Firefly.
Firefly in a hand
forgives. Tiny ant on a screen, burden great, though it seems work so hard on his head, on the thrill. And go, yeah, go, take the love. Honeybee, navigate to the queen. She awaits a drink of sun from her love. He's the one. And go, yeah, go, take the love. Go, yeah, go, take the love. Firefly in a jar, shaken free. It's a start. Illuminate starless skies. She can fly. Go, yeah, go, take the love. Go, yeah, go, take the love. Take it, take it, take it, take the love. Whoa. Take the love.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I tell you what, if you don't write that many, that one is the best anyway. You can't beat it, man. Yeah, you save it all up from one great one.
Thank you.
That was really, really good.
Thank you.
And so
A roller coaster of
so subtle and beautiful and soft and full.
It's
Really
kind of a
good.
different approach for me because I'm kind of a whaler, you know. So it's really way pulled back than what I normally do. So.
It's hard to be restrained sometimes, you know what I mean? I think it's harder to be subtle like that and to be pulled back.
It is.
And leave the gap, you know what I mean?
And it's in a lower key than I normally do too. So it's like, you know, it's just the whole thing is just sort of a much more mellow approach than I normally go for.
That's great. So cool.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys so much. And this is great. Love
Yeah,
this.
that's the casino that we were pointing out earlier. The only guitar that we haven't talked about that's a Beatles guitar.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
This, you know, all Lennon and McCartney both
The other
had
guy who-
casinos.
yeah.
This one is like Paul's.
Yeah. Right.
Because Paul's was earlier, the early one with the short headstock. And he has a Bigsby on his. This is a different tremolo system.
Yeah.
But it's from the same time period as his. This is a 62. my favorite time period because the neck is kind of wide and flat, and thin, and it plays so good. I love this guitar.
It's an awesome guitar.
Originally, there would have been like a sticker of an E here, which is gone.
And aren't the casinos now, they have a wider body too, don't they?
You know, I don't know about the new ones too much.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You said that's a 62. Now, we had the Les Paul Ebony in the other month. Now, I had a block.
Right.
Ebony. That's not, that's Ebony, right?
No, this is actually rosewood.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it the same kind of like idea though, you think, or?
No, I just think that they were trying to come up with a special tremolo system for an Epiphone.
Yeah.
So they made its own tremolo system. Basically, the top half of this is what's called a maestro tremolo, and they just kind of connected a thing to it. This is sort of half of a Gibson one, and with the E-tail piece. Some of these have what they call the frequencator tailpiece, which is it's longer on the treble side and shorter on the bass side. When they don't have tremolos, it's just a tailpiece.
Yeah.
But some of the features of the early ones, it has a white guard, it has nickel parts as opposed to chrome. They go to chrome in late '64, and the short headstock, which really I think affects the tone. I really think it makes a difference. These early ones seem to sound a little bit different to me. The wider neck. And a lot of these early ones have this color, which is my favorite color. It's just beautiful. Sometimes it's a little lighter, more honeyburst like the Texan.
So John's the blonde that he had, that was a later model with.
He stripped that guitar.
Oh, he stripped it, did he?
Yeah,
I didn't know
it was a later one. It has the longer headstock.
Yeah.
And it was sunburst, and then he stripped it to natural.
Got it.
They stripped a lot of their guitars. Even his Rickenbacker that he had, the small one, he stripped it. It was originally black and then he made it natural.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
The things you learn every day.
Yeah, that's why there's different reissues of that guitar. They kind of reissued the black one and also the natural.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it actually was natural, and then he painted it black. Yeah, but these are one of my favorite guitars to sit around and write songs on because it's so comfortable. It's very acoustic sounding, when you play it.
Yeah, sitting on the couch, you don't need an amp,
Right, exactly, yeah.
I actually wrote that last song, Firefly, on my casino. So that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah. They're just so comfortable and so easy to play. At least I think so.
Yeah, they are.
And that was a lovely song. Is that a song that you do with the newbies? Or
It is, yeah. It's on our
Modern
most
Vintage.
recent quite although it's still
the
quite
upcoming
old.
record?
No, it's been out for a long time.
Oh, okay.
No, that one's been out for a while. Yeah, it's you can get it on Spotify, all the usual
All the platforms.
platforms, as she said. Again, the album's called Modern Vintage.
How long has it been since you guys did a release?
An actual studio release has been a while. It's been
like 2012.
2012, I think we did. We've done a live album since then.
It's time, man.
Yeah, it's time. Well, we've been stockpiling. We've been traveling so much. It's been hard.
It's hard to do both.
It is hard to do both.
Really
for
is.
sure.
Yeah.
Tell us about the other bands that you're playing with.
We just talked about the Duo Jets a little bit ago, and of course, the Women of Rock Tribute, which a lot of great female singers in town are my friend Michelle Hemmer, Crystal, of course, Rio Van, and Elena Jaber, and then this great lineup of men playing also, not just women, and people from the Newbies, from Just Strange Brothers, and other places as well.
We've gotten together with the Strange Brothers and done Beatles versus Bowie.
Oh,
did that at Bogart's last summer. We're going to redo that show. It's a lot of fun.
Lightsabers and
each other. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure the Beatles win.
But those are sort of the main focus right now.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
Newbies and the Duo Jets are
Can't wait to hear the new stuff. And
Thank you.
As always, I'm the biggest
so
fan of you
us.
guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having us.
And I'd like to thank everybody for coming. My friend Bill for coming in, setting in, playing us a Chalk-Eye tune.
Yep.
Always a joy, my friend.
You don't have to ask me twice.
Pricey tomorrow.
Crystal Peterson for coming, playing us and blessing us with your voice, which is like one of the best voices I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing.
That's very nice.
And my good buddy Bill.
Hey.
For hanging out.
We're still friends after the last couple of weeks.
We lived together for weeks, so it's hard to believe.
You got to see me in my tidy whities, and sorry.
I mean, if
I was blocking that out.
if you forgave him for the Mahogany joke not landing, you can forgive him for anything.
I'm gonna go look that up when I get home.
Yeah.
And the lovely Jonelle Stevens is our barista. Thank you, Jonelle.
Thank you, Joe.
And we have coffee from Brancho Coffee and guitars from Mike's Music. And we have Wayne Littmer as our photographer today, always helping us out. Mike Tekulve helps us out from Sin State with our labs. And I'd like to thank Elton Clifton and Silas Shepard and our crew for making everything wonderful. And appreciate everyone today. It was a great show. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Great time.
Coffee up! Coffee up! Yeah.
Which cup is mine?
It's one big cup now.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink after
One
these
big
6
soup.
people.
That's what I said.